Balls are back.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre, and Tennessee can say hello, win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now. I made up my mind. I don't expect to ever look back. I'm going to stay at the University of Tennessee.
Reddit did to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Sunday, January 29th. Your not for long number 4 Tennessee Volunteers knocked off Texas, UT Junior, horns down.
Horns down, baby. How
Been
about
a good weekend on Rocky Top.
It's been a great like year on Rocky Top.
Yeah, I don't know how you count it, and Tennessee won't be number 1 obviously on Tuesday, but they kind of hold the driver's seat to be number 1 here soon, or on Monday, excuse me. Would that count as? That would be a year that each team was ranked number 1 within a year. Does that count though, since they're in different school years?
It'd be like the same academic.
It'd be within
year.
It'd be within a calendar year. No, different academic year because baseball hasn't been number 1 yet.
Oh, that's right.
They probably will be if we're just being honest.
Yeah,
so it's not like that puts it out.
Calendar year. Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty insane. Just everything looking up for this athletic department. We talked about it on Thursday with all the raises. I mean, not a better time to be a Vol. You're going to hear from Connor Pavolony, a guy who's loving being a Vol right now here soon. He says it best. It's fantastic. Saturday felt like a day that could have easily been a letdown. Texas is a good team. Struggled last week. Probably pretty easy to overlook with the rest of the SEC schedule. The Big 12 beat up bad on the SEC. I mean, other than a few, it was bad. And so, it could have been a letdown. No, not with Rick Barnes, not with the throwback jerseys, not if Zakai Ziegler or Headband Olivier had anything to do with it.
Yeah, it was I think Tennessee had everything to play for. It was College game day. You mentioned the uniforms, Rick Barnes' former team, the team that beat you last year on, in a freaking rock fight. Just kind of everything was – it just seemed like as a Tennessee fan, this is where you see something go wrong.
Right.
And it just didn't let it happen. It was kind of like this past year in football. We were just waiting for that letdown. Say what you will about South Carolina, but we were thinking it was going to come way before that.
Yeah, no, for sure. We did still get that fall a little bit from the mountaintop. So don't worry. Yeah. We got that feeling. Other fans, we did unfortunately experience that. But yeah,
but the team that beat you is, they ended up winning the national championship. So and Tennessee finished the year out with a win. I don't know how. I'd probably rather be in the college football playoff, but if you're not going to win at all, would you rather just win your New Year's Six Bowl?
We talked about it. I mean, not a lot of teams get to end their season, or I guess in football bowl season, a lot of teams get in their year on a win, but it's pretty rare in sports. And we talked about, I would not trade places with TCU. No. That's awesome, but the way it finished. Now, as you saw in the news today, Dallas still came out on top, but it unfortunate for TCU.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned College game day. I forgot it. I don't know if I really thought Joe Milton threw the basketball to the concourse, but that ball looked like it may have gotten thrown to the concourse. I was very disappointed when Grant Ramey updated us about where the ball went. Not that that's not impressive. That's an insanely impressive throw of a basketball, but just let me dream, Grant. Don't give me confirmation.
Is that going to be the new trend? Is just see how far Joe Milton can throw things?
I think if they bring back the slice, is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I think there should be a reoccurring segment of how far can Joe throw this? Just go to like Goodwill or go to home. You know me, I love to go find random stuff at Home Goods. I still think we should get the beer dispenser thing. That's pretty awesome. How far can Joe throw that kind of stuff? I think would be a great segment.
Do you think Joe Milton can throw a baseball out of Lindsey Nelson from home plate?
There is almost zero doubt in my mind. To right field, he could 100%.
I'd like to see how far he could get it, like out of this, like going toward center field. I don't think he could throw it out of center. I mean, maybe, but I'd like to see how far, like on, like, or just how far he could throw it dead center.
I'll take the bet. I think he at least hits the wall on the fly.
Like a one hop.
Maybe let's call it one hop. He one hops it to the wall. I think he does at least that.
I think this is my new. This should be the TikTok trend.
Instead of an opening pitch for Tennessee, let's just have Joe Milton throw away from home plate.
Yeah. I mean, foul balls happen all the time anyway. Why don't we just let him throw like from the pitcher's mound and see how far he can throw it outside of Lindsey Nelson?
Yeah, just put up a net on the back end too. It'll work out.
I mean, they'll hit the frat houses. That they know. They don't care. It's not going to be the only broken window that year.
No, especially that one on right field's line. That one's beat to hell. I don't know what fraternity that is, but
yeah.
Sorry if it's yours, Joe. I feel bad.
They got a heck of an insurance plan.
For sure. Well, let's look at basketball. We're going to look at basketball. We talk a little bit of baseball with Connor Pavolony later on. Before we do that, I do want to mention our good friends at Underdog Collectible. Underdog is Knoxville's best collectibles sports. Oh, let's start over. Cut. Start. Underdog is Knoxville's best sports collectible store with a wide selection of UT cards, autographs, and memorabilia. Whether you're looking for a Peyton Manning autographed helmet or the most recent Topps baseball card release, you'll find it at Underdog. The shop is owned by UT graduates and proudly supports UT sports by hosting NIL events throughout the year. Stop by the University Commons Shopping Center next to Publix and Domino's to check them out. Open 6 days a week with live YouTube shows 3 nights per week. Make sure you're following them on all the socials, keeping up with NIL events, trading night events, and just regular store info. Remember, always bet on the Underdog. Shout out to Underdog Collectibles. Good friends. Great people.
Well, so the uniforms. I thought that, you can always, make them look a lot better in like a promo picture or ad or video. But, man, on TV last night, I'm sure in person they look really good too. But
well, I just like too. What I like about that is it's not, and the ones that are permanent were an alternate at one point. And my favorite thing about it is they're not necessarily like an alternate jersey. It is Tennessee. It's Tennessee's jersey. They just essentially changed the front, a little bit of tweaks to the style to make it look older. It's beautiful. I'm not saying I hate the blacks or the smoky gray or anything like that, but you can do a lot with Tennessee's history and the orange and white and the logos, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I loved it. I love the script. The script is my favorite thing. And it happened. It's because I'm a baseball guy, but man, it just looks good on everything. I'm all for. I don't know how you incorporate it with football, but I'd like to see it.
Yeah, I don't know if Tennessee's helmets would look right with the script. I love the script South Doyle ones. South Carolina script's really good, but I don't know how it'd look on football.
Yeah.
Can't decide.
Yeah. I'd like to see it. See what happens.
I won't
Chad Fields, if you can maybe get on that. I'm sure he has it.
I'm sure he has a script, yeah. I'm sure that's already in the arsenal there.
It probably looks good.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's talk Texas. And I think the best part about this win is you're not playing a lowly Big 12 team. And I mean, obviously you can see with the depth that wouldn't matter this year, but people can't use that against Tennessee. It was at home, but you lost to Texas away last year. But you just dominated pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, you covered, and even though Tennessee, we say only won by 11, you beat a top 10 team by 11. I mean, you're pretty dang good. But the score looked closer than it actually was.
And I was about to say it could have been a lot more if it wasn't for
Rice.
Golly, was it Rice that just did not miss in the final 3 minutes? It felt like.
Yep.
I mean, was on fire, and you held Marcus Carr to 11 points. He's averaging, I think, 17.3 going into the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people loved the way he played up to that point. I thought it would give Tennessee some amount of trouble, but we talked about that on Thursday. In terms of matchup, you tell me the team's strength is not only the guard position, but also the best players at guard. I'll take that matchup. And Tennessee's guards pestered, and they made not just Marcus Carr struggle and be impatient, but the whole Texas team.
Yeah, Tyrese Hunter didn't have a big game. Timmy Allen didn't have a big game. It was Rice and Marcus Carr got a little bit, but some of those came late too. I mean, it was 17-17 with like 10:46 to go. Tennessee goes on a 9-0 run, and from that point, they never look back.
Yeah, Tennessee's streaky in the right way. They don't get streaky defensively. They get a little streaky offensively, but I mean, that's the way you prefer it. Again, I know the offense can be frustrating, but you just scored 82 points on the number 10 team in the nation. I don't want to necessarily hear it. Yeah, just.
Yeah, and they were averaging right at 80 points per game. We held them to 71, and the kind of the end of that second half, the defense wasn't playing all out. I mean, the game was over. But I think that is you saw it like in the first half how good Tennessee's defense is. You see it in the box score with you just mentioned Marcus Carr. I mean, this defense is smothering, and they hold a really good scoring team. I mean, this team scored 100+ points on Kansas State a couple weeks ago. They can score. The fact that you're able to hold them to 71, I think, is a huge feather in your cap. And I think this game is gonna be huge when it comes to seeding of the tournament. I don't know where Tennessee's gonna be, but if they're kind of in that between 1 and 2, I think this could propel them to a number 1 seed for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously look like they're in the driver's seat to be that, and there's a good meat of the schedule coming up. But we continue to talk about it. The way Tennessee plays defense, could they give up one? Sure, I don't see them giving up much more. And then, I mean, you saw Alabama struggle with just physicality, especially down low. I really like that matchup more the more and more I see them. And I told you, I've Wednesday night, I think they play Mississippi State. They struggled. I know it's a home game, but it's midweek SEC. Those can get weird any place. And I kind of gave them benefit of the doubt. Saturday kind of showed that maybe Wednesday had a little bit more to it. And so I don't know what to think about that team. Arkansas has been real weird. I don't know what to think about a team like that. And then I think you play Florida midweek. It's weird.
Yeah,
like you could see some damage, but also number one I think for the first time ever, Tennessee's number 1 in the KenPom.
I mean, how do you
did Purdue unseat them?
No, I think the Houston was ahead of them for the longest time, but I don't think it is.
I think after
Houston was down 9 to Cincinnati, they came back and won by 6. But
yeah,
Houston hasn't been that. I mean, they lost to Temple. Houston hasn't been they're not playing like the number 2 team in the country. I think they are good, but I think this Tennessee team is playing a lot better than Houston. And I kind of like, you mentioned like Marcus Carr, like you like when their best guard, when their best players at guard. Looking at Purdue, I mean, they have one guy. Other than that, like, it's different if you have Oscar Tshiebwe and you have a couple other like pretty good guards. Well, it's Zach Edey for Purdue, and that's it. I mean, that's basically like he is probably going to be the national player of the year. But I think top to bottom, Tennessee is the best team in the country right now, and I don't think that's a stretch at all.
I mean, statistically, we just talked about KenPom. It's certainly not a stretch.
Yeah.
I think
what
a lot
does
of
the
people
chart say, Caleb?
Exactly. Analytics guys here. This team is really, really good, and it is going to, unfortunately, it is the nature of what this sport is, college basketball. It is going to come down to what you do in March. But I love that you hear it every week, and obviously it's easier to say when you gave up 71 points versus 41. Tennessee has not played their best defense yet. I find that a little hard to believe. I really do. But this team seems to seem to get better, but also just improve on areas that need to be improved on. Specifically, like the bigs are just playing better underneath when the ball's in the air. Mm-hmm. You out-rebounded Texas by a billion. I mean, if you out-rebound teams by 10, you're gonna win a lot of games. If you're pulling down 11 offensive boards, getting that many second chances, you're gonna win a lot of games.
Well, you're also, if this team shoots 55%, not a single team in the country is going to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. If this team shoots 44% on Tuesday night? This team shoots 44%. They're very hard to beat. They only shot 44%. We thought it's not a slouch. That's not bad. But you won by, was it 28?
To who?
To Georgia. What was that?
Yeah, that sounds
something like that. What a massive amount of points, and you only when you win by 28, you should be shooting 60% from the field. You'd think.
Yeah.
So it's insane. Tennessee's tough to beat, even when they're not their best offensively.
Well, and they can play different too. They can play small. They can play big. You know, they have shooters. And the other night, we had two guys in double figures. Zakai had 11. Toby Awaka had 10. Last night, you had two guys combined for 49 points. I mean, it's just like, hey, if teams want to do a shootout, we can win that way. We can win in a rock fight. I don't think it matters. I think this team just, hey, we're going to go out and ball, and, you know, we dictate how things are played.
Right. And we talked about Headband Olivier earlier in this. When the dude's on, the dude's on. There's times like Texas where he's just fast. He's quick with every movement. And then he also just seems to know where the rim's at all the time. Yep. He can turn around and pull up and perfect. It's so weird how it doesn't, because that's flat out a really good basketball player when he can find the rim all the time like he did against Texas. So I don't understand why it doesn't translate every night, but man, when it translates, it translates. He's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be the thing coming, like Rick Barnes, I'm sure, is just like, dude, where is that all the time?
Yeah. If it's in the headband, keep the headband. Maybe it's corners. I don't know.
I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. So do whatever you did this past week, do that same thing and going forward, because, I mean, he was the best player on the court.
Yeah, we got to find out what he ate for breakfast and lunch, maybe dinner too, and keep that going.
He was the best player on a career high. I mean, usually when we're talking about him having, you know, a big game, it's usually against somebody who has zero post presence, or it's a, you know, team out of, you know, God knows where, like Tennessee Tech or something like that. I mean, it's
a lot of Cookville people are going to hate you for that.
Yeah, sorry.
That line
that was just like the first one that came to my mind. So I do apologize, Golden Eagle fans. But yeah, it just seems like he's always dominating smaller opponents. It was really cool to see him dominate in such a high key matchup like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Is you talked about that? Is that, I don't know what the win totals match up to, but is that the worst Big 12 SEC challenge competitively ever?
God, it's got to be. I mean, none of them were even close. I think Arkansas was close, and maybe the LSU game was close. Other than that, I don't think. Well, West Virginia and
Auburn. Yeah, shout out to Bruce Pearl for covering, baby.
But there was a lot of blowouts. I mean,
Texas Tech won by 12.
Waxed. Alabama got waxed. Missouri waxed TCU. I mean, who saw that coming? Or no, Missouri. Yeah.
Iowa State, right? Yeah, Missouri beat Iowa State.
Okay.
TCU lost to Mississippi State.
Yeah, Mississippi State got beat by TCU.
I did forget about that Mississippi State game. I forgot they won a game. Yeah.
I mean, those are the three. I mean, going into it, I was like, Mississippi State ain't winning, Missouri ain't winning, and Alabama's winning. I mean, I lost all three of those bets. So it is what it is, but
I'll tell you. It's okay. Dylan's was worse. I put together I spent like an hour trying to put together that 12-team parlay Dylan sent me. Missed on the first one. I was like, that's a waste of time. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, I thought those were really good bets, and
I really thought
those games are just wonky, right? Well, I didn't know this last year. Apparently, one team won that was on the road last year in the SEC Big 12 Challenge.
Interesting.
If I would have known that, I probably wouldn't have done that. But
yeah, I mean, every team that we named in that list, the road team lost. It was 3.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So who won away this year? Did anybody? Kansas, obviously.
Kansas won
late game, and Texas Tech is the only one. So that's pretty crazy.
I think the Big 12 is probably the best conference in basketball, but when you really look at it, like Kansas won, Texas lost, Iowa State lost, TCU lost, Kansas State won. Kansas State's a good basketball team, but 3 of your top 5 lost.
No.
And maybe I guess the same with Alabama lost. Who else is up there? Texas A&M didn't play in it. Kentucky
I guess
lost.
Arkansas would be Missouri. I guess they're 12-2 in the SEC. They won. Sorry,
which is so weird.
Yeah,
I can't figure them out. But yeah, not a great day for the SEC. But hey, Tennessee won, so I could care less.
Oh yeah. At the end of the day, I mean, I've always said it. When the SEC wins, you can kind of hang your hat on the SEC pride. But any day, I will get to watch Alabama get beat by almost 30. Like, I'm enjoying that.
Yeah.
I even tweeted it out. I kind of wish I hadn't bet on Alabama because it did make it a little bit harder to enjoy. But when the other two went down, I was like, yeah, okay, this is fun.
Well, here's the thing. You didn't even have to sweat it.
No, you never. And I did get a little mad. I took Auburn to cover. I thought that would be a little bit easier to root for. That even kind of sucked. I'm like, I wouldn't mind if you got beat by 10.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead and make that 3 if you'd like.
Yeah.
And then you have Katie Johnson throwing the ball out of bounds.
But yeah, I was super surprised we killed them on the boards the way that we did. I didn't know like how good they were rebounding. I know they're long, and Timmy Allen's a really good wing, and Dylan Mitchell, who is maybe, I don't know if he regrets his decision to go into Texas, but it was between Tennessee and Texas. He chose Texas and had 1 point in that game. Also, Josiah had a little bit to say about him. I would love to know what he actually said. And that's what's kind of great about this team is like they have a little bit of an edge to them.
Oh my gosh! I mean, Urosh is,
and it's not just Urosh either.
No, it's not. But Urosh is the poster child.
Oh,
listen. There's a reason Vitello wore that jersey. There's a reason it's his favorite player. He's got an edge to him.
And I don't know if it's just contagious from that baseball program, but like the football team had it this past year, and maybe it helps that you're winning. You can kind of chirp a little bit, but I'm like Josiah. Josiah is one guy who I didn't think I'd see a lot, and he's been a guy that's been a little. I mean, not chippy, but if he does
he's not
something,
quiet.
If he throws somebody's stuff in the fifth row, he's going to let them know about it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, there's an inbounds. I think he got it knocked out of his hands, and he's the guy chirps at him. He's not backing down. No. He doesn't care.
No,
he doesn't care.
I love it. I love this team. I'm sure Rick Barnes probably doesn't love it, but I do think you have to have a little bit of moxie about you if you're going to win the national championship, and I'm sure that's got to be the goal. You won the SEC championship last year. Who cares? Who cares about it this year, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, but I just want to put that out in front there.
Yeah,
I want rings.
Yeah, but this year the goal is, I think you're at that point where like, hey, a SEC championship would be cool, but hey, we need to go get as far as we can in this tournament.
Yeah, no, I mean, you want to hit your stride in March, and I mean, championship in this, we talked about it. This sport is very difficult, but it is the nature of the sport, and it all relies on not even a month period of playing really good basketball, and that's your goal, is to figure out how can you do what you're doing now 2 months from now.
Yep.
And figure that out. And it's got to be your goal. Get a Final Four. We need it. Yeah. We got room for a Final Four banner in those rafters.
And it's not always the best team that wins it. It's usually the most consistent team wins it. And that's what Tennessee has been since that Kentucky loss, is nothing but consistent. And another guy that's been that is Zakai Ziegler. I mean, he's just so freaking – we talked about it like I guess a week ago. They were saying like he could be one of the best point guards in the SEC. He's one of the best point guards in the country right now.
I think he proved that yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, 22-10.
Yeah, watching the game with someone who doesn't watch much Tennessee basketball and is just baffled at Zakai's size and impact is so much fun. And then late in the game, he hits a three, kind of deep three. I think it was over Rice. It was some tall, lanky dude. Just no hesitation. Doesn't matter. Like, just he's a dude's dude. There's a reason Vitello loves Zakai Ziegler.
Yeah,
there's a reason those guys. Those guys spend a lot of time at Lindsey Nelson too. You said maybe it's carrying over from I think there's certainly some. If you made I don't know what those graphs are called, so I'm going to move on. But yeah, if you did that, there'd be a lot of crossover, a lot of overlap.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, like the three like circles.
Yeah, these people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
This guy definitely knows.
That's not a circle graph, is it?
No, I don't think so. Venn diagram.
Venn diagram. Thank you.
Joey Boots is always coming in clutch.
He's in college still. He knows what's going on.
he's having to draw one up right now.
Yeah, that's part of his science project. I do kind of want to hear from Joey Boots. He was actually in the student section. So, Joe, if you want to get in here and kind of tell us what kind of that atmosphere was like. First, did you go to game day?
Sorry, I'm gonna get the thing all right. No, you know me, getting up early and actually getting after it's a little bit of a challenge. It's not even me myself; it's getting people to commit with me. Because honestly, in fairness, if it was like all up to me, which I guess I still could have, but which wasn't ideal on a Saturday. But no, I didn't go to game day, but I was up fairly early and around campus-ish back in the fort and getting going pretty early with some early mimosas and everything. It was a good time, but 6 o'clock games are great. Football season's over, so it kind of feels nice to be able to have a late Saturday game situation, and I don't know, it kind of felt like football game kind of vibe. You know, the fort was kind of bumping, got some pre-games going, some people getting excited, some music. So I mean, obviously,
how was the crowd?
Crowd was good, dude. It was were either you there?
Mm-mm.
I was not there, but from what I've heard, that it was the one of the more electric atmospheres that they've seen in a while at Thompson Bowling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it sounded on TV, but it definitely was. I mean, obviously it was loud. When you pack Tommy Bowl for a game like that, you're probably going to get pretty decent. I mean, I guess I could compare it to Kentucky game at home last year, kind of that vibe. But I guess the crowd was kind of matched with the game because we kind of never you couldn't tell me like the final score. And I know obviously, you know, we talked about the fact that the score didn't really replicate what happened, but boy, you wouldn't think that it was even close because it just felt like every couple seconds someone was getting excited for a three, or there was not terrible officiating, so we didn't have a bunch of booing and stuff. Like it was a solid crowd. It was definitely it started off rough. I got 3 drinks knocked over, so I mean, I just figured it's not my day. We're gonna have a tough time. It did happen while trying to catch one of those Chick-fil-A cows. I laid literally everything I had on the line for it and got it.
Did you get it?
No, got it snagged. Absolutely got little Boyd for it.
Oh man.
But so yeah, I figured that was gonna be off to a rough start. But yeah, the crowd was great. You can see that video, and it was consistent. I mean, I know we have an issue with kind of half of Thompson Boyne sitting and having issues with not looking like they care, but there was definitely some good energy in that, especially the student section, obviously. I mean,
yeah.
How do you feel about it being split up, student section? Good, bad, doesn't change?
I mean, I like the sense of like it looks better, you know, behind each net, obviously, in terms of free throws, and you know, you can actually. But I mean the pits were already kind of there anyway. It just goes all the way up. I don't know. I feel like I liked it a little bit better before, just because like everyone was together and it was a little bit more of a student section, not like 2 split up sections. Because then everybody else gets sent up to the top rows anyway. So it just kind of, I don't know. I'd rather it be all together. Like obviously at Neyland, when everyone's all in one spot, I mean, that place just erupts and that whole section right there looks fantastic. But I mean, what are you gonna do? I guess it's got its, you know, like I said, it's got its ups and downs.
Interesting. Yeah, I thought it looked really cool. I mean, in those videos that you sent, I thought it was rocking.
It was loud on TV. You could tell.
Yeah,
noticeable.
I want to go back and at least hear it on TV because it was definitely, especially some of the moments that like a couple big threes. I think the guy hit 2 threes in a row and the place kind of just got.
Yeah, he feeds off that energy.
He does.
I
I
don't know what the opposite of an energy vampire is, but whatever that is, he's the opposite of that.
I like it.
I don't know if you go back and listen to Kentucky, which I guess, I mean, most students are still not back. You can tell the difference though. Like that place was definitely rocking.
Yep.
Even early on in the Kentucky game this season, when you know we weren't going to lose at that point. Granted, we weren't hitting threes either, so it was kind of hard to gain momentum. But there was a distinct difference in that game last night. And I think night games in general, I guess like I mean, a 6 o'clock game on Saturday, like people got all day to kind of get rowdy and stuff.
People
Hard to
boozed
get
up.
Yeah, it's hard to get people like rowdy for a noon game sometimes. I mean, I can't speak to that. I'm always gonna be rowdy, but I know some people, struggle at noon to get super excited. So I definitely love the energy. If I want to rate it, I'll give it should we get decimals going? I think like 4.5 would be a little bit. I'll say like 4.4 boots out of 5. Because we're going with
All
boots.
Boots. Okay.
There's definitely a 5 is basically impossible. I mean, it would have to be regular season talking. I mean, well, I guess whatever. You get what I'm saying, though. So, yeah, I think
it's
4.4.
Yeah, if we're going to be fair, 5's got to be tough to reach. So 4.4 is really good.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
Did you get one of those jerseys? Was that last night?
No, that was the Georgia game. And
okay.
I ended up getting tickets with my mother and my aunt, so I was up in the top, and I really wanted to go early. I could not. I wasn't even on campus, but I really wanted to go early. Like that was kind of cool. I don't know. I mean, I guess they did it for Georgia to promote, get people there and stuff. But they gave out T-shirts with the same thing, 23 on the back, but they weren't nearly as cool.
Cool.
I wanted a jersey.
Awesome. Love it. It just seems like that, a couple of weeks ago, I think people were talking on Twitter of, no one's really excited about Tennessee basketball. I don't think that was the case. I think we were just a little bit of, there was some inconsistent basketball being played at the time, so we didn't really know what to expect night in and night out. I think how they've played the past couple of weeks, I think this is how good – we've seen how good this basketball team can be. And I think the excitement is just picking up.
Yeah. I think Saturday, obviously, another good game. Auburn, I mean, I even with their past 2 losses, anytime Bruce Pearl and company come to town, it's going to get up. I think it's a 2 o'clock game. So not as late, but also not noon. So there's a little bit of time there to, kind of get active and get going. But I'm assuming same kind of show out. It's already sold out. Bruce Pearl, that's always –
We're going to have to get up early in Vegas and watch that somewhere.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Oh, well, we are going to be up early, so that works out. Okay. What's that, a 11 o'clock start? Yeah. Be at lunch. About that. Or should be, I should say.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, let's we'll be right back. We're going to get Connor Pavolony in here, former ball catcher and currently with the Baltimore Orioles. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned for that.
Member of the Baltimore Orioles organization, Connor Pavolony. Thanks for hopping on. Appreciate your time. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. I'm doing great. It's glad to be back, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, I actually got a surprise for you.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this.
Oh, yes. I forgot about this.
Oh, can you see it?
Oh, my God. I love it.
That is awesome.
It's actually funny. We had how crazy Vol Nation is. I actually had a guy come up to me after one of my games in Maryland this year with my Tennessee jersey with my name on it.
Nice.
And asked me to sign it for him. And that was pretty. It was one of the cooler things that I signed this year after games and everything like that.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's funny that you did that because somebody actually got a jersey with my name on it and asked me to sign it up in Maryland, which is so far away.
Yeah, DHgate, they'll make anything. So
yeah, they will.
That's awesome.
So you mentioned that. Have there been a lot of Tennessee sightings throughout the minors? Have you gone through?
At least one Tennessee fan everywhere I've been.
That's awesome.
Everywhere that we go, especially in the South. I mean, in the South, there's a handful of them, but even up north, I've been all the way up to Brooklyn, New York too, and there's at least one everywhere. Either want me to sign a Tennessee baseball for them, or they're showing up wearing orange, and they're the easiest people to pick out of the stands because I'm up north and nobody wears that color up north. So it's really easy to pick them out, but it's definitely at least one everywhere we go. And it's really cool to see.
Hey, we tried in Asheville, and
dude, I was hurt too. I didn't even play in Asheville, so it was one of those deals too. It just didn't work out.
Yeah.
Have you tried to get away with wearing Tennessee stuff? It's a lot brighter than the Orioles orange. Have you tried it though?
Oh, trust me, this last baseball season, it was all I wore. Especially, I mean, if we're winning, what are they going to say to me? Oh, you can't wear that because you guys aren't winning. No, I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna support my guys, and especially when football season started too, because that's one of the things too is the locker rooms. We try to keep it light and trash talk around the locker room and stuff like that too. I was telling you guys before we started, My roommate in Knoxville right now is from Kentucky, and so this past year playing them in baseball and not winning that series was a brutal weekend up in our locker room. But it's just stuff like that. Like, we try to keep it light. But yeah, I definitely wear a lot of Tennessee stuff around, especially when we're as good as we are right now.
So do you kind of do like the NFL stuff where like y'all have a bet going? So if your team loses, they have to wear the other team's jersey?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that happens all the time. And especially with the other guys, like the older guys in the locker room and everything like that too. Cause I play with Heston Kjerstad from Arkansas too. And so there's plenty of SEC guys that I play with and that I play against too. So it's definitely cool to, trash talk them when we play against them on a weekend or anything like that, and just seeing them in the locker room.
Yeah. So you just finished up your 2022 season. I guess you're full into the off season. What was kind of that season like in Aberdeen? I think I'm saying that right.
Yep.
Ironbirds. Also, like, that's one of the cool things about minor league baseball is just the names.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It was good. It was a good year for me. I think it was a big learning year. Pro baseball is so much different than college in a lot of ways. I think the talent level's close, especially playing in the SEC. I didn't see many guys where I was like, I wouldn't see this on the weekend. In the SEC, there were guys that were better than weekend guys I saw, but it was big for me to struggle like I did and be able to learn to get myself out of it too, because I think in college it's easy when you get 3 days off a week to go and work on stuff when you can go in the cage between SEC weekends and you have a midweek, so you have a couple of days off between them. But in pro ball, like, we play 6 games a week, and so it's hooking it up every single day. So trying to make adjustments on the fly in season is something that, like, you just have to figure out that you can't really make big adjustments. So trying to figure out how to coach myself and be my biggest cheerleader, but my biggest critic, and my best coach at the same time. It was tough, but I think going into this next year, mentally, I think I'm a lot more ready for what the season brings from a workload perspective, both mentally and physically.
Yeah. I know we talked about it, trying to see you in Asheville, and you were banged up then. What's the injury report or rehab process? What'd that look like to get back?
Well, it's crazy because I broke my hand my junior year against Vanderbilt, my right hand. And then what had happened was the same thing happened in the exact same spot on my left hand last year, getting hit by a pitch.
Oh, dang.
Same scenario. Yep. Got hit by a pitch. Broke my hand. And the trainer was like kind of shocked at how calm I was. I was like, I've been here, done that. And so that was kind of, the biggest deal for me, but I take care of my body pretty well. At least I like to think so. So things that I can't control or that are out of my control like that, I kind of just chalk those up and say, God's trying to teach me a lesson and move on. So as long as I can control what I can control and I stay healthy from a things I can control perspective, which I did this past year. And I feel great right now too. So all the injuries are gone, knock on wood, and I'm ready to go to spring training.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask you about spring training, and I think it's interesting. Like, when guys get drafted, they go into these professional organizations. What's that kind of like to see, like, a Adelaide Rushman or a Ryan Mountcastle, guys that are kind of the face of that franchise? What's that kind of? Is it a surreal moment when you kind of meet those guys?
Yeah, for sure. I actually got to spend a good bit of time with Adley last year at early camp because we're both catchers. One of the best guys ever, really genuine dude, for a guy who's in his spot that a lot of people wouldn't be the way that he is, but always open to talk about whatever you need. If you ever just wanted to hit him up for tips on something or see how he does things, he's always so open about it. But yeah, definitely. And I mean, I got to go to big league camp for a day or two last year and go to one of the games against the Tigers, and I was literally standing 50 feet from Miguel Cabrera while he was hitting, and that was one of those surreal moments for me, watching that guy, step in the box and, watching him grow up. When I was growing up, it was like, oh my gosh, it kind of doesn't really ever set in. And I don't think it ever will until I debut and compete with those guys on a daily basis. And, but it's definitely cool to go to work with those guys because what a lot of people don't see on TV is how, like, genuine people are. And, it's a lot like the way that Gilbert plays. Like, they're completely different people off the field, and that's kind of how it should be. But yeah, they're competitors on the field, but they're really good dudes off the field, and a lot of people don't get to see that side of them. But it's cool that I got to see that.
Do you know your orders for spring training yet, or are you with Aberdeen? Have you heard yet?
I haven't. I don't know where I'm going after spring training. I think it's one of those deals where I show up and do what I can do, and then they'll figure that out from there. But I didn't find out where I was going last year until like the day I was leaving to drive up to Maryland. So I assume it's going to be just like that this year, and I'm excited to go compete because I think I'm a completely different player than I was last year. I'm a lot bigger. Put on. I think I weighed in at spring training last year at 193, and I just weighed in the other day at 206. So I feel like I'm a completely different guy from when I was there last year. So I hope they don't kind of, jump to conclusions about where they want to send me and just let me do my thing.
Is that a special thanks to Q, or is that kind of your own workout program, or what are you doing?
The Orioles program for me from a workout perspective, but being able to get in there with Q every day and he'll always throw tips at me too. Like he watches me work out and we do all of our workouts in front of him and with him too, because he's in there lifting because he's one of those guys that, he walks what he talks, and he would never ask you to do something that he doesn't do, especially when we were here. So you walk in there and he's getting after it just like we are. And so like, anything that he sees in me, then he'll be like, you're doing this, stuff like that. And then I can always pick his brain too, because he's always open for that.
Yeah, you talked about being at Tennessee. You're actually in Knoxville right now. Is that what's that experience kind of like? Are you all around the team a lot, or is it kind of you're on when they're off?
No, I'm around the team every day. Like I get to see those guys come in, when they're going in the locker room from class, or just getting lunch, stuff like that. And then I'll stick around, watch them scrimmage. And then every now and then I'll try to hop in a BP session, something like that, keep it light. But for the most part, I just kind of try to be around the guys in case they ever, need anything, because, a lot of those, especially the new guys, like I know what they're about to walk into as well, because I did it as a freshman. So did everybody else in that locker room. And there's some pretty cool guys that are working out here too. Like there's a lot of alumni working out, and we've had a ton of guys, in and out that those guys are really taking advantage of. And that's kind of like the biggest thing that I've noticed is there's no real egos for the most part throughout the locker room. It's a lot of guys that are eager to learn and be good teammates to each other, which is, what we saw with the team that we went to Omaha with. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, and you said you are around the team, so I'm sure you're around those catchers. That's kind of been, up for competition the past few years since you've been gone. What's that kind of group look like this year? We thought it was going to be Jared Dickey. It was Evan Russell last year, but Tony Vitello said he's probably going to be using the outfield in his recent press conference. So what's that kind of room look like?
I heard the whole Dickey to the outfield deal, and I work with Dickey, catching too, and everything like that, leading up into January and everything like that. We were doing all of our catching work together, and I think they have an unbelievable catchers room who push each other on a daily basis. And like I said, there's really no egos there. Like they're there to push each other and get better. And I think Dickey is a bat that you just can't not have in your lineup. And catching 3 games on a weekend physically is just like it's grueling, honestly. Mm-hmm. And so I think he will catch at some point. Like he's going to catch throughout the year, but I think there's 4 guys in there that'll be able to do what is asked of them when they need it to. I think Charlie is an unbelievable. I spent the most time with Charlie in my career here, and I think he's just as good, if not better, than I am behind the plate defensively, and does everything extremely well. I don't think there's any weakness to him behind the plate. Has a really good arm, has a really high baseball IQ, and I know that the coaching staff trusts him as a catcher. So when they put him back there as a guy who's like now watching as a fan, I know the work that guy puts in, and so when he goes back there, there's never really any worry from my end or from anybody else's end, to be honest with you. So it doesn't really matter who they put back there. And I think one of the new guys, Cal Stark, is also really well. I've watched him hit and catch too. So, and Ryan Miller's mixed in there as well. So there's really no bad options. It's a lot like a Hendon Hooker, Joe Milton situation where they push each other to get better. And at the end of the day, if it comes down to it, and we need one of them to play when it wasn't expected, like Joe had to do in the Orange Bowl, then like they're going to be able to do that. And I believe they're going to be able to do it at a high level.
Those are some good buzzwords for Tennessee fans. Hitting on Hendon and Joe. That was solid. That was great bringing that in, relating. Were your nerves? You said, it sounds like you're president of the Charlie Taylor fan club. Were your nerves
Absolutely.
Pretty high? I mean, that's got to be a tough moment. Unfortunately, Evan can't go in the Super Regional, and then just kind of gets thrown. I mean, I know you prepare every day, but you are kind of thrown in when you aren't expecting it. Were your nerves pretty high? I'm sure you had to play, but following along in that.
Yeah, the morning that I found out that it was going to be him behind the plate, I actually FaceTimed him, and I reminded him kind of what he put in to be where he was at, and to just enjoy the moment. And I think one of the most unbelievable things, and him and I have talked about it as well, was the fan base rallying around him and understanding the position that he was in as well. Was like, hey, like, you haven't really caught all year, but like, now we need you to go catch in a regional, and it matters. It's not like one of those games in a midweek where you can be like, okay, like maybe you can make a mistake here or there, and it doesn't count against your conference record or your RPI, stuff like that. But like, if you lose a game in a regional, it matters. And so I knew that he was going to be nervous, but I also knew that he was ready for it. And I just kind of had to remind him of what he's done to get to that point. And I think I've never seen or heard a stadium get so loud for a guy who put a bunt down in my life. And I was so juiced for him. And I called him after the game and said, hey man, like, you're probably gonna have to do it tomorrow too. So you better hook it up and get ready to go. And I think he kind of showed you guys that I think the biggest thing I've seen from fans talking about him is the bat, but people don't realize how hard it is to control a pitching staff. And especially when you got guys like Ben Joyce and Chase Burns and Chase Dolander on a pitching staff, like, those guys are hard to catch. It's not easy. And he does it extraordinarily well. And so for that guy, when he does go back there this year, because I know even if he doesn't start on opening day behind the plate, he will get back there at some point. He's definitely one of the better defensive catchers in the SEC.
So would you say Evan Russell had the hardest job last year in catching all those guys that threw 100 miles an hour?
Oh my gosh, people have no idea, man. Like, I would see people rip him on Twitter, and I'm like, nobody out there can go learn how to catch SEC arms in a year. Nobody. And he did it, and he did it every single day. He never complained about it, and he never ever made excuses as to what he did wrong. He always owned what he did and always got better. And that was what I really loved about it. And I continued to text him throughout the year, like, hey man, it doesn't matter what anybody else says, like, you're doing a phenomenal job behind the plate. Because watching him and the way that he controls the game and the way that the pitchers trust him was something that, like, you don't see often. And he's a true leader. And I think he was kind of made to catch just based on the leadership role that he had within the program. And so it was unbelievably hard to do what he did. And, we talk about it all the time. Like, I commend him for doing what he did, because it's definitely not easy. And especially with guys like Ben Joyce and Chase Burns, and having to control nerves on those guys too, pitching in their first regional. Chase Dolander never pitched in a regional. And he's the best pitcher on the planet right now in college baseball. Like, we can just call a spade here.
Yeah.
And so even a guy with that kind of stuff, like, you still have to control his nerves a little bit.
Have you gotten to throw a bullpen with them much this offseason?
I sit and watch whenever those guys hop up on the mound, especially Chase, because I'm a big fan of Chase's, just not even as a baseball, as a baseball player, but as a dude. And he's one of the best guys ever. And his relationship with the Lord is something that I talk to him about all the time too, and something that I admire about him. And but yeah, I get to see those guys hop up on the mound, and it's something that you don't want to miss ever. And so it's definitely fun to watch.
Yeah, and you kind of talked about it before the show that you are living in Knoxville and you're around this team. Is that just the culture that Vitello has instilled in you guys, and you're just like welcoming y'all back, or is it just something about Knoxville that you're just like, I want to be there?
No, Knoxville's home to me, man. I would call this place home for the rest of my life if I could. And I think the culture around here is also one that where you want to come back. And Coach V, he'll text us throughout the year and ask us how we're doing too, and he's one of the busier guys, but he takes time out of his day to text us. And so when we come back, he's always happy to see us. There's never a thing that he doesn't do for us while we're back here too. Been to a ton of sporting events, like done all of that as alumni. Like, he never says no to what, having us around the guys or having us speak to the guys. And I think that's really cool, because you don't see that in very many places, especially at that other school in Tennessee. Like, I know it's tough to train there unless you're a big leaguer. Like, we just call a spade a spade. And so for Coach V to be as welcoming as he is, like, my roommate went to Kentucky and he trains here with me, and he loves it, and he loves Coach V, and the coaching staff has welcomed him as like he went here. And so definitely a culture of that as well, where we can just come back and it's like we never left.
So no Vandy guys.
No.
No Vandy guys.
Mike Minor, actually. Mike Minor trains here.
Oh.
And so
one Vandy guy.
Yeah, one Vandy guy.
Gets a pass. Do y'all still
he had to convert that before?
Do y'all still feel that competitive juice like you're playing in college again when you guys come in here and work against each other and work out with each other?
Oh yeah, I mean, it feels like we're just practicing with each other again. It's definitely unreal to to be out here with the guys. Like we were a family when we were here, and we still are. Like we still have our group messages, and we still hit each other up all the time. And when we come back, it's just like we never left. I think at the Bama game, we had like 14 or 15 of us from that Omaha team here, like just for the weekend. And so like it's just one of those things where, yeah, it's definitely competitive, but it's like a really good thing to do with the guys. And like I said, they welcome us back, and they welcome the competition as well.
So you were then for Bama? Did you get to storm the field?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was out there. I wouldn't miss that for the world.
I saw Chad Dallas. He was in some overalls.
He was shirtless overalls. Yes,
yeah.
He was. And I mean, definitely not front cover bod on the guy. But boy, does he rock it. Does he rock it.
I don't think you're allowed to wear those checkerboard overalls with a t-shirt. I don't.
Yeah.
No, I think he said that. He was like, I would never do that. And so he didn't do it. And then I commended him for it, because it was not warm that night either. Like it was kind of brisk outside.
It got a little chilly. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, he was definitely shirtless overalls was the move. And he got recognized a lot. I think people realized like they saw the shirtless overalls first, and then they said, oh, that's Chad Dallas.
Yeah.
Like that's how it went. It wasn't like, oh, Chad Dallas in shirtless overalls. Like, oh, the shirtless overalls, and then it's Chad Dallas,
Yeah. There's one guy that probably was like, he plays baseball? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did want to talk about kind of this team. You said you're around it pretty often. Last year there was question marks. Can they replicate what that Omaha team did? With losing Jake Ferguson, of course, Max Ferguson, Chad Dallas, tons of guys in that lineup. And they just seem to reload with guys like Trey Lipscomb finally got his turn, Jarrell Ortega, Jared Dickey. Is this going to be the same thing that we saw last year? This team's going to just reload.
I think that a lot of that credit goes to Josh Elander, who's the recruiting coordinator and also the catching coach here. So I spent a lot of time with him, and I know Coach V gives him a shout out whenever he can, but he doesn't get near the credit he deserves for the amount of time that he spends on the road recruiting away from his family. And getting guys that want to come be balls and recruiting guys that fit the mold of our culture. It's definitely not easy. And I think a lot of people overlook that. Like V plays a massive role in that, but Coach E's our recruiting guy. And he's done a phenomenal job of finding guys that want to be here, that fit in the culture, and just dudes. And like Blake Burke came from California, like it's not one of those things where it's like he's just picking guys from Tennessee, and he does. Like we get hometown kids, but like we also get the Blake Burks. That nobody else wants to offer, that will come in and hit 40 home runs before he's done playing here. And so a lot of that goes to him. And I've watched these guys play. Like I saw V mention Dreiling and Chapman the other day in the presser, and he's spot on. Like those two guys are for real. And you will see them out there this year. And there's actually a guy in the Orioles org who's friends with Dreiling who told me the same thing before I ever even saw him play. And so, like, I think you will see exactly that. Like, they're just going to reload. Am I telling you they're going to hit 150 homers? No. But I think that they don't need to hit 150 homers when you have 2 number 1 overall picks in your weekend rotation.
They also have, 6 lefties in the lineup that can just pepper it over that short wall over there and right?
Yeah. And, I mean, it's it's just going to be – I think they will be able to, but I think they're going to be a very dynamic offense. I think they're going to be able to bunt. They're going to be able to run. They're going to be able to steal bases. And they're not just going to be able to hit homers, but they will be able to do that as well when they need to. A lot like the team did last year. I think they just kind of beat the brakes off of people. And I don't think you ever really got to see them play small ball because they never had to. And so this year, I think you will see that often where you see guys sack bunt, or you see closer games, but the team always wins because they just grind it out because that's who they are.
So when I saw you at Old City Sports Bar for the Georgia game, we won't talk about that, but
nope.
We got to you mentioned Maui Ahuna to me, and we got to meet him at our sponsor at an NIL event. Shout out Underdog Collectibles. You said that he does some stuff with his glove that you've probably never seen before.
Never seen before. And everybody that I've talked to says that he's one of the better gloves that's come through here. And in my opinion, I have never seen Maui play in an actual game, but Ricky Martinez is the best shortstop I've ever seen in my life from a defensive perspective. And he's actually the guy who coaches Maui. So I believe it when that guy says that he's just as good as he is. And I mean, projected first rounder, like the stuff is there for him. And I've seen him do things in practice where like the game just looks like he's playing in slow motion. And I think, when he gets out there, I think, maybe the first day he's going to be a little nervous, but once he settles in and does what he needs to do, he's going to be just fine. And you're going to see the flashes of the guy that came from Kansas, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, like this is a big recruit that we're getting. And that's exactly who he is. And he's going to be an unbelievable player. He's going to lead that defense because that's what he's going to have to do, especially as a shortstop.
Yeah.
Speaking of Malihuna too, Tennessee's gotten a ton of transfers this year, and it looks like that helps the reloading process when you're getting season vets. Have you talked to anybody that they could go back? And I mean, you all didn't have the transfer rule, but they're like, man, I would have loved to play because Tennessee's attractive, especially with Vitello and the way you guys play down there. Has anybody alluded to that, or maybe just flat out said it?
No, John Rhodes is my roommate. He went to Kentucky, and I know for a fact that if I knew him while I was at Tennessee and the transfer portal was a thing, then I think I would have had a good shot at bringing him here, but legally, of course. But nowadays, man, especially with guys like Griffin Merritt that are older, 23, 24-year-olds, like they just want to win. And people hate on Stetson Bennett a lot, but like that dude just wanted to win. Like he didn't come back because he was like, oh, like, I love college football. He just wanted to win. And I think guys like Griffin Merritt that show up that are, the AAC player of the year, and they're going to another program because all they want to do is win for their senior year, then it says a lot about where the program's at. And you will see that often from a lot of guys that are starting to grad transfer. Like guys like Zane Denton, we played against him for 4 years, and thank God they don't have to do that this year.
Yeah,
because that kid is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so like guys like that, they come here because they want to win, and they want to be around the guy that you see on television, who Tony Vitello is exactly who you get when you play for him. Like there's no facade. There's no, glamming everything up when you come on a visit to make it look like it's going to be something it's not. He doesn't do that. He's going to be like, hey, like this is what you're walking into, and this is what it looks like. I'm not going to guarantee you a starting spot because I don't do that for anybody. And you're going to have to come in here and earn it. And that's exactly what you do. And the person that you see on TV when he has our backs that gets misconstrued by a lot of people is just the fact that he cares so much about us, and other players realize that, and they want to come play for a guy like that. And they just realize that we have a lot of fun. Like we have another school that just posted a picture the other day of their player wearing a fur coat. Yeah. Like we do things that are fun, and people like that, and other programs seem to like that.
In the dugout now, though.
Yeah.
In the dugout now. No.
Yeah, don't even get me started on that. Don't even get me started on that.
Well, I do got to get you started on one thing. When Vitello did the chest bump, I'm sure you didn't get to watch it live, unfortunately. Did you immediately know who that guy was?
Oh, absolutely. When he did it, there's no like sugarcoating that you can do for like something like that, but it's just like I said, like that's V. Like he's emotional, and he has our guys' backs, and that's all he was doing was standing up for our guys. And did he take it a little far? Probably. But like it's one of those things that like if he was doing that for me, I would want to sit here and be like, yeah, that's my guy, and I go to war for him any day of the week, and that's what we do. And so you would have seen the same thing if it was another player having a problem with one of our guys. Like you would see the exact same reaction because we all care about each other. But I think Coach V just cares a lot, to be honest with you. Like he cares so much about us and about winning. And that's kind of where we get it from. The little edge, the little chip on our shoulder, even when we're the number one team in the country and we have a 23-game win streak. Like it doesn't matter. Like we're going to go out there and we're going to try to beat you, and we're going to try to beat you really bad. And so like those guys have a lot of fun doing it, but they also know that number 22 is going to have their back. Like that'll never be a doubt in their mind.
Yeah.
Have
you heard their biggest cheerleader too?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you heard a Mike Honcho type just rant after he's mad about something? Probably a bad time to hand the guy a microphone. All-time rant though. I mean, we got a great video out of it.
And Jordan made some NIL money from that, I'm sure. I haven't asked him about it, but I mean, oh my gosh, Coach V might have got that guy paid a little bit. And yeah, I mean, stuff like that where he does things where you're just like, like that's my guy, like little subtle comments where it's like, you know what, we really don't like these guys and they did something that we don't like, so I'm going to tell you about it, and I'm going to make sure you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say it. And then guys like Luke, when they homer after that and they pick up the bat and look at it, like it's just one of those deals, like it feeds into the players. It's not something that Coach V ever says like, oh, you got to do this to play here. It's just one of those things that's like, that's my guy. And if he's going to have my back, I'm going to have his, and I'm going to have this, my teammates back, and we're going to have fun doing it. And at the end of the day, like if I was playing against Vanderbilt and I'd swept them and I was on a 9-game win streak or something like that, I guarantee you I would have done the same thing.
Is there a team? It probably is Vanderbilt, but I do want to ask. So Tennessee football, that week for Alabama, it's just different. Like there's just something different in the air. Is Vanderbilt kind of that same way?
Yeah, to an extent. I don't think in baseball that you hook it up for one game. Like you have to prepare to play 3 games against a team that's going to be really good. And I think Vanderbilt definitely has that feel to it because now it's no longer Tennessee's going to play Vanderbilt. It's Vanderbilt's coming to play Tennessee. Yeah. And those boys have to play us. We don't play them anymore. And so like that's kind of where we're at. So I think if anything, we prepare the same way, but there's a different feel to it. Kind of like playing LSU again in the Super Regional, that kind of feel where it's like these guys can beat us. But at the end of the day, like we got to remember who we are. But yeah, there's definitely that rivalry feel to it. There's especially when that first pitch is thrown on Friday night.
I love that. I'm using that line. Those boys have to play us. Like that's a great description of it.
Yeah, it's a fact. It's a fact. There's no more. Like we're going to. I have a picture and I sent it to V of my visit. My junior year, and Tennessee was at the bottom of the SEC. They used to have the SEC standings in the locker room, and Tennessee was on the bottom of them. And I have a picture of it, and I sent it to V last year when they won the tournament, and said, like this is exactly what we thought was going to happen when I met with you in your office. This is exactly where we thought we'd be, and it's no longer like, oh, we're going in to play Tennessee this weekend. Like, let's go. It's like, oh, we got to go play Tennessee. And every team says that. It's no longer like Tennessee's coming to play us. Like you're coming to play us.
Yeah. I got one final question. And you were talking about NIL money. You got a nice little payday, I'm sure, with your signing bonus. What was your first purchase? Do you remember what it was?
I did. I bought an F-150 when I got home from the year. Something that I think was tough for me to do because I was sitting next to my dad buying it, and I was like, I've never seen this amount of money on a piece of paper, and he's just like taking it from me. And I'm like, and I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I don't want to do this, and he was like, just sign the paper. And I said, okay. And so yeah, I ended up getting a truck, which is something that I had wanted for a long time, and I think it sounds cliche, but it's. I felt extraordinarily proud signing my name on that piece of paper and not having somebody, co-sign it for me. And it felt really cool.
All right. Well, man, we really appreciate you coming back on. You're a reoccurring guest, so friend of the pod for sure.
Absolutely. No, I love being on.
And we'll definitely come see you and make sure the weather is nice before we, head up there this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we'll talk throughout the year too, and as the guys are going. And like I said last year, when I ended it, as the fans and Vol Nation is unbelievably committed. Like I was in TVA last night for the Texas game, and it was unbelievable. I actually got to be on the floor and feel the energy on the floor. And I've been in Lindsey Nelson when it's sold out. And the one thing that I'll say, exactly like I said it last year, like just please enjoy the ride. These guys never go out there to do anything to harm anybody else. Like they're just out there to have fun. Yes, we play the villain role, but that's not like we don't sit in the locker room and we're like, oh, like, let's do something tonight that Twitter's going to, rail us for. So enjoy the ride and be the fan base that supports us, exactly how they supported Charlie last year, and enjoy where we're at, because it's an incredible time to be a Tennessee Volunteer. And so, just enjoy the ride. Just enjoy the ride, because I'm enjoying every second of it.
Awesome. Well, Connor, appreciate you. We'll do this again, and good luck to you in spring training.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. I truly enjoyed it. It's always a good time to be on here.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sure. Good luck, man.
Brother.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
That was VFL, Connor Pavolony. We appreciate him hopping on the show. Always a good time to talk with him. Living in Knoxville. I love this place. We found out a few weeks ago a certain former assistant still had a place in Knoxville too. So you can't get rid of them, even when their time is done.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome that they're around the program so much. And, he had me ready to run through a brick wall when he was saying, just how fun it is. Because, he's been a Tennessee fan for,
6 years, I guess now.
6 years, something like that. So for him to just like know that we're like, this is the time. This is the best time to be involved. I mean, I don't think I've ever had more fun in my life than the current. How are we saying it? Calendar year? Than we're having right now.
Yeah. We're still in there, and I think the next at least 6 months will be a lot of fun, and hopefully the 6 after that too. Yeah, it's a great time. I've already started working on the "They Have to Play Us" shirts. You said print the shirt. I agree. "They Have to Play Us" that's a fantastic line.
All-time line.
I love it. Get me fired up.
Yeah. And he is the official president of the Charlie Taylor fan club. So get those shirts going too.
We'll go president. I got dibs on historian. That was always my job. I wanted for like Deca. Easiest job ever.
I'll be the
dibs.
treasurer.
Yeah, that's fine. You can handle the money.
What's the other stuff?
Good question. Vice president. I don't think we said that. Surely there's a vice president in there. Speaking of that, Landon just loved that shot of Jill and what's his name? Roger today. 49ers game. The Eagles 49ers. They were sitting together in a box. So.
Oh, really?
Does she have ties to Philly? Is that why she was there? No. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if she was just there, but she was there. I think that was this. I saw it on Twitter. I don't remember.
I don't know either. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
Good deal. Well.
Got ad read. Let's get to that.
Let's do it.
Our good friends at Underdog Collectibles. Underdog is Knoxville's best sports collectible store with a wide range of UT cards, autographs, and memorabilia. Whether you're looking for a Peyton Manning autograph helmet or the most recent Topps baseball card release, you'll find it at Underdog. The shop is owned by UT grads and proudly supports UT sports by hosting NIL events throughout the year. Stop by the University Commons Shopping Center next to Publix and Domino's to check them out. Open 6 days a week with live YouTube shows 3 nights per week. Remember, always bet the Underdog. Man, love those guys. Go check them out. Great store. Got tons of stuff for everybody. So even if you're not a huge sports collectible person, they got something for everybody. So go check them out.
Yeah, I feel like I say that all the time, but like I truly mean it. I'm not the biggest collector. I do have a few things, but even just to go shop around it, and I'm one day you're going to find something you like for sure. So make sure you go check them out. And it's a great location right next to the Vol Shop. I know if you're like me, you're going and picking up online orders all the time down there. Don't think you can at that store. Maybe just going to buy something. And I'm a big fan of Fieldhouse Social, man. I hope we can get down there for a Tennessee game.
It is a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite. I like stopping in there before a baseball game. Like if it's like a later game, stopping in there, grabbing something to eat. Then I can go over to Underdog Collectibles, check them out, and then head over to the baseball stadium. So
I've got a hot take too. I think Fieldhouse is very, very, very underrated. I won't say the most because it's not like people don't go there and talk about it, but it's pretty underrated. It's a good little spot.
Yeah, I agree.
Listener questions. I believe that's all we've got before we get onto those. I've only got 2. The first one, I think you tweeted about this today. Why is Juwan Jennings not an emergency quarterback for the 49ers?
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me. I mean, it just seems like who else you got? I mean, you don't have a Justin Reed that can do the kicking and
anything,
throwing and everything else. But
I love Juwan. So for that reason, and I'm not saying he couldn't have wheeled them to victory or to a better game, but they just looked. The Eagles looked a lot better. I felt like, and the quarterback situation was unlucky, but I just don't know how much that really could have solved. Honestly,
yeah. How do you not have a third string guy?
Yeah, that's certainly strange. Especially like my first quarterback goes down for the year. I'm getting some other guys around him.
Yeah, maybe you're
thinking,
God, there's no way he goes through two. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, just the fact that they're so shorthanded. That game just kind of sucked.
We haven't gotten to watch much of this Chiefs Bengals
game.
Up.
We're going to get out of here right before,
let's go.
So,
all right. Well, let's wrap it up. Good stuff. Last question before we get to segments. Favorite memory in Thompson-Boling Arena? Favorite UT basketball moment. I guess it doesn't have to be in.
Man. I remember. So I don't think we won this game. It was against Vanderbilt when we sat like right behind the bench. Do you remember that?
Yeah, we won that game. I'm pretty sure
We did win. Okay.
I feel like I remember leaving thinking. I think we were talking about how bad Vanderbilt was, and how we won, but we played terrible.
Yeah, that was a really good. I mean, that was skinny Grant Williams.
That was 17, I guess. Would have been like
Yeah,
January. It popped up on my Tom Hop the other day.
I thought it was Grant Williams' like freshman year.
That'd be 17, wouldn't it?
Maybe. Yeah,
16,
that's
17 season.
Dude, the Arizona game last year was electric.
You get to go to that. I didn't get to go to that. Yeah.
Kentucky a couple years ago when we just demolished them. I think it was I can't remember. It was Grant Admiral's senior year when we demolished them at home. That was fun.
That was fun. So I guess I have two then because I didn't realize maybe we had to be there for it. One of my favorite memories as a basketball fan was Bruce Pearl's 2006 upset of Florida. Stormed the court. That's the best. And then the next home game, because Tennessee got fined for it, the team came out onto the court through the stands because Bruce is like, can't come to us, we'll come to you.
That's awesome.
Stay in the stand. Yeah, it's like that's one of my favorite early memories. Of course, Texas, Chris Lofton over Texas, Kevin Durant, that was in there. And that's a great memory. But Florida, I don't know. Florida was kind of like why you enjoy being a fan.
Yeah.
And then I've
got
got
think of some more.
Georgia that same year as the Kentucky.
Oh, to clinch the
share
SEC
of
title.
the SEC title with Auburn, and that place was electric. People forget that in that game because no one talks about it when trash got thrown on the court or on the field against Ole Miss. The place got littered with trash. Rick Barnes actually came over the mic and he said, "It's not over yet. Stop throwing trash." And it's not over yet. He just he said it like he meant it. And dude, that was the Admiral. The dude tried to throw it back in bounds behind his back. Admiral grabbed it and yammed.
Yeah, we were all there for that. We had a couple.
That was fun too. Yeah. So
we saw Alvin Kamara after that game. When we were walking back, we saw him. He was on.
Yeah, he was. We tried to do an interview with him.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He was on a golf cart too, which is why the interview didn't happen.
That's probably why we had like 50 followers.
It was early. I mean, that would have been a year or two after.
Year. Yeah.
Would have been the first year? Yeah, I guess it would have.
Oh, no.
It was 18, I think. It was 18.
Okay.
It was 18. So still infancy.
Yeah. Very small.
Also, Kansas in 2008, 9, when players get suspended and Skylar McBee wills us to victory.
Yeah. Love that.
Good memories. Some. Not most, as we preached on the last episode. A guy acting like this wasn't the best years of Tennessee basketball. Moron.
I saw something on Twitter a second ago that said that Zakai Ziegler isn't even the best point guard in the state of Tennessee.
Who's better?
They said the Memphis guard, Davis. I'm just like, I mean, you can't just maybe he's up there. He's a really good player, but you can't just
look at what Zakai's doing. Come on.
Yeah, you can't just say that that Zakai's worse than he is. If you want to say they're on the same playing field, but you can't clear cut that Zakai's not better than him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a dumb argument to have. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dumb argument.
I did not respond because I do not want to deal with that. Most important. I've got one
Joe,
here.
College Game Day, son.
Joe, have you got any? Hop in here.
My first one is from College Game Day. Good sign. It was greater than less than. Nico greater than Arch. Smokey better than Bevo. And Tennessee better than Texas. Thought a lot of good comparisons there. And he's right. Every Tennessee is. Yeah.
I thought I had one. It is. Did we talk about the DoorDash guy?
Yeah, and we talked about him. Did we? Because that happened on, I guess, like Wednesday or Thursday night.
Yeah.
Who was I talking to that I was like, I got by it? But I also didn't see the video.
Yeah, this was on the show. Yeah.
Okay.
We were talking about it. Yeah.
And if I'd seen the type video, it would have been easy to say it was fake. But yeah, that's so stupid.
Yeah, I agree. My most important, it's got to be Philly.
Philly.
Jalen Hurts. I hate that he went to Alabama, but like I can't help but like the guy.
Agreed. I love the way he catches snaps, by the way. Have you noticed how low he gets?
Yeah, he does get real low, doesn't he?
His fake, and hey, his fakes are good too. He still does it for his fakes. I mean, he knows what he's doing.
Also, I'm going DJ Jefferson too. I mean, him cramming at College Game Day. I mean, that dude's a 4-star, and we're just redshirting him. And he can just – did you see his dunk? It wasn't on the actual broadcast, but the one he went underneath both of his legs.
Yeah.
And slammed it. That is that'll probably win you an NBA dunk contest.
That's some bounce. Well, if he does it over like a Kia. Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah. Got to have the Kia.
Mine a little selfish here, but pending the results of this game, I'm one step closer to my $69,000 parlay. Nice. 5 out of 11 legs would have hit. $1 to win 69,000. It's definitely not going to hit, but it kind of.
So what do you have left?
Oh boy, got.
Should he tell us?
There's no way.
He hadn't told us to this point, though. I don't even know who the NFL bet is. Obviously, I'm going to guess Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. Don't answer that. Just don't make it.
Is it to win the Super Bowl or just a game?
It was the AFC and NFC championship.
Okay.
So,
I'm guessing.
Can you tell us a sport of the rest of them? Of the rest of the legs?
See if we can guess them. That's a good one, Landon. Smart thinking.
Okay. Do you want to guess them or you want me to tell you?
Give us the leagues or the sports.
Basketball and golf.
College or NBA?
Both.
Oh, okay. So you're picking like winners. Okay.
Yeah,
these are like this is a future bet.
Oh, yeah. Gonzaga maybe your future, but you hate Gonzaga. Yeah, you hate.
Is
Gonzaga.
it Duke?
No. It's all possible, but all right. So I'll say it. I don't care. It's not gonna hit. I got Houston.
Wait, is Golf Tiger to win the Masters?
No, it's Justin Thomas at plus 1,300, which is pretty. I thought, and I still probably will put some money on him for the tournament for the Masters, but I think what's going to hurt me is Brooke Lopez Defensive Player of the Year. Sorry, I'm plugging my laptop because now Jaren Jackson looks like he's going to win. So, but you know what? It was a good run. I'm a little pissed that I didn't just pick the 5 legs.
Is there a cash out?
No, there probably won't be because.
Yeah, it's so insane.
Yeah, like they know, like that's still the odds of the next 6 legs hitting is impeccably not gonna happen. But you know what? It's a cool run.
Hey, good vibes only.
Exactly.
It's gonna hit.
So you need the Chiefs. You just need the Chiefs to win tonight for that leg to hit.
Correct.
All right, that kind of stinks. I was rooting for Joey. Now I'm got to root for Joey.
So am I too.
So
because I had Argentina World Cup. Djokovic, Australian Open, Eagles and Chiefs, and then Georgia.
Dang! So, when did you put this in?
I think it was like late November. So it wasn't like. I mean, but
yeah, that's wild. I mean,
I wish there was a cash out. They should give me like at least.
I think $100
at least minimum $100.
Yeah, so whatever.
I don't have any more most important. That's it for me.
Yeah, that's all I got. I got some fails, though.
I do, too. I'll go first. Brevin Galloway, did you see this? He got on an Instagram Live in the hospital because he had missed a game for Clemson. And he said his nuts exploded, which sounded sounds like they just grew exponentially in size, which just would scare me. But on his Instagram Live, he says his testicles exploded.
Yeah.
I guess he was still hot from surgery or whatever medication they gave him. I don't know. No way he did
that.
Yeah,
then they were back to normal. I'm like, that's not how that works.
Right. It's like, damn, that's a good surgery if he exploded.
I do have one more most important. I'm sorry. I forgot to read this last time.
Landon.
Toby Awaka on Volcalls, said that this basketball team has a stat for 3 consecutive possessions without scoring on defense, and it's called a sack. That's pretty badass.
I like.
You're good at defense if you're making up stat categories.
Make up new statistics to have fun.
Yeah,
we've done
How many sacks do we think they have? That's got to be.
Oh my god,
they probably got like 2 or 3 last night.
I was about to say they're probably averaging like solid 4 a game.
Oh gosh, now all day tomorrow. All right, just remind me I'm gonna start counting at least SEC sacks. I'm gonna have to count that.
All right, there you go.
That should be a collegiate-wide thing. I like that.
Yeah, that would be fun to start. When's the last time you've had a new stat? No, I'm not talking like next gen stat, an actual stat category. We need sacks.
Yeah, I like that. All right, back to fails.
Next gen stats, that's a fail. They're just stats instead of stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Not creative enough for me. I've got one more. Y'all have any?
I got Stetson Bennett.
I'm going to talk about this. Felt bad for the guy. 6 a.m. That's a night he regrets. He regretted it before he got arrested.
Yeah, dude. How are you still like hammered?
He's been drunk since like January 9th.
Go to bed.
Is it who was it? Was
somebody,
it Ovi?
Somebody did say midlife crisis. And I thought that was hilarious.
Was it Alex Ovechkin when they won the Stanley Cup? He was just they said he was drunk for like 60 days.
What?
It was like he drank because the Stanley Cup has a hell of a tour. Yeah. And he just went with it. He went with it everywhere.
Man, what a cool job.
He was pretty old when he won his first Stanley Cup too.
Yeah.
I got one. It's the Empire State Building. I don't know if you guys saw, but they lit it up green to celebrate the Eagles. And it's actually not the first time they've done that, which is a little weird. But for those that don't know, Eagles and Giants don't get along very well.
I was about to say, doesn't Philly and New York hate each other just in general?
Yeah, it's literally like one of the bigger rivalries. So, I get it that they are NFC East companions. I don't know if that's what they were trying to draw. It could also be someone that lost a bet or hacked the system. I think I'd prefer that line or something. I think that'd be way funnier, but I'm not quite sure. It's the second time they've done it, and people are not happy, rightfully so. I guarantee if the Giants were heading to the Super Bowl, Philly would not do anything blue or anything in that regard. But I guess when you're as bad as the Giants, you gotta reach, and the Jets.
And that is crazy too. Like the Giants, I didn't even think about that. Didn't they knock the Giants out this year? That's insult to injury. Bad move by the Empire State Building. Good for Philly though.
Yeah, no, it's good PR.
I got one more, and it kind of has to do with Philly a little bit, Jalen Hurts, but Alabama, they sent out a tweet saying MVP finalist, congrats Jalen Hurts, #built by Bama.
It's all this debate. Does Oklahoma or Alabama get to claim them?
Well, like we already went over like how he gets to claim them, and then they did this built by Bama. Like you don't get to say you built him.
It was fun when the fans kind of argued about it. Now that the official count is in on it, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
And like they're taking credit for his success. Like that's crappy.
Yeah, they didn't show that support and love when he was there. So when it was time for him to make decisions. So
that would be like if when Eric Gray gets drafted, if he does.
Well, he was built by Tennessee.
He was in
Tennessee.
Yeah. That's true.
Just don't put balls. You're good.
Jalen Hurts from Alabama.
Would Alabama claim that they built Alvin Kamara? You can, I guess. I wouldn't at all.
They're just going to claim whoever.
Yeah, we can play that game.
Anybody?
We can honestly, even recruits. If there was at one point where they intended to come to Tennessee, I say we just start taking credit for that.
You took a visit to Alabama, built by Bama.
Yeah. Influence starts on that first meetup. So
Yeah.
Shout out Nick Saban. I'll go really quick just because I got one last one. Again, Philly tied. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but Joey Bosa got kind of clowned outside the stadium. I think the mistake he made, and I'm just not sure if he's familiar with like the Philly atmosphere. That's probably the lightest thing that trash talk that could happen. You got to know to ignore them, especially when you're a professional football player. They're gonna chirp you. That's like the last thing you do is walk up and ask if you're sending that to your butt buddy or whatever. And he basically got destroyed. I mean, he looked awful.
Yeah, he got like really
about
it.
I don't even know what was said for the most part.
There was something before he started filming. Maybe he screamed something because
he was yelling they're like, "Hey, the Chargers don't play this week" or something like that.
Yeah,
like he was just
that's all. But I couldn't hear other than the butt buddy thing. I couldn't hear what Joey Bosa was saying. But it was just sad because why are you responding? If he had just said the butt buddy thing and walked off, whatever. But
he kept saying something about how he's rich and how he kept calling the guy that was filming broke and that Joey Bosa was rich and that you can't afford to be out there for the Super Bowl or something like that. You couldn't afford. I flew here on a private jet or something like that. Like total like just looking stupid. Like you look bad doing that. But Philly fans always find a way. I'm sure downtown's still recovering with people climbing on poles and stuff. So,
can you sing the song "Fly Eagles Fly"?
I will not. I do know it. Maybe if they win the Super Bowl, which I might be heading home for. I kind of want to be in downtown Philly when that goes down.
All right, if they win the Super Bowl, market you have to sing "Fly Eagles Fly" on the show.
Okay. All right.
My last one is sports breaking news on Twitter. I know we got sent in our group message, and he posted that video of that dude barely walking, and people told him it wasn't Damar Hamlin. He was like, the NFL's lying. How was he walking at the game the other day? Listen, I'm not hating on the people that believe in the conspiracy, or not believe in it. Talk about the conspiracy. It's kind of fun to talk about conspiracies. It's kind of fun to even believe them a little bit, but guys, it's not real. He's fine. He's not dead. He's not. What do you?
Well, and if we're just talking about it in our group text, Dylan 100% thought that was real.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Dylan's a conspiracy god. You got to rein him in.
And then he got. Yeah, he's like, I was like, that's not him. He's like, I didn't say it was, and I was like,
he played it well. He did. No, he played it well. I'll give him that. But we know.
Yeah,
we know.
My brother
you got to rein them in. You got to let them fly, but it's the people that can't be reined in that are tough, man.
Yeah.
People still believe it. Can't. It's rough. I will say, I don't think we talked about that, the Bills-Bengals game, how hilarious it is that he never showed his face.
Yeah, I bet.
I feel like the only weird one was the cell phone video because everyone's like, why is he hiding from cameras? Probably because he doesn't want to be like he's not there to look at cameras.
Yeah.
That's not why he came to the game.
Well, it's like they tried to like film him the entire time, and like the snow was so thick that they could barely see it.
Yeah, there's so many explanations for that, and I think it's so funny that they just jump straight to like Roger Goodell's covering up the biggest death scandal, and they're using a body double to do what? Stop the NFL from getting criticized for like safety
stuff
reasons.
They're already getting criticized for.
Yeah, what? Like this isn't new. I don't think. Oh no, yeah, Damar Hamlin's dead, and they're just gonna. And don't worry about it. They're not. I mean, is he going to be hidden in a mask for the next 40 years, and they're never going to show his face? Like, he'll pop up. He's already been. Miles Sanders FaceTimed him. He posted a picture from the hospital bed. Sure, if you want to reach and be like, oh, it's photoshopped. Like, go ahead. I'll entertain the comedic level there, but at some point he's going to show his face, not online, and people are going to be like, well, we tried.
Yeah.
And you did try.
I do like the thought of them finding someone that looked enough like him that to pass for him. I'm sorry, Damar Hamlin's not a small dude, and he's obviously very fit. That guy's probably in the NFL, so you know who he is.
It's like they had like someone picked out already too. Like the NFL has every like buddy's like stunt double like ready for them in case they have to fake a hidden death.
I kind of like that idea. That's the conspiracy I'm into.
Yep. If you're gonna conspiracize, do it right. have every angle covered.
That's
all right,
all.
well,
That's it for me.
let's watch the end of this game. And guys, it was a fun episode. Thanks, Connor Pavolony, for coming on. Great interview. We'll be back on Thursday talking about a win over Florida. God, I love beating Florida. That's all we got. We'll bring the boat in, and we out.